So we're getting into the midseason playoff bracket, and the only difference between what we're doing now and the pre-recorded content that we did is we're going to get into the play-in scenario. So in the Eastern Conference, we have the Magic versus the Hawks for the 7th seed.
Here we go. Who's healthy? Who's not? Let's have fun.
Let's just assume everyone's healthy.
So even Jalen Johnson?
Oh, I think Jalen Johnson's not for the year.
He's out for the year, so that doesn't count.
That's why I asked him. I want to be very specific when I make this. I want to be very specific
off
when I have this because I feel like this conversation could be very, very fun. Now that we have made it abundantly clear that we're getting Franz and Boncaro, who have a losing record playing together, and that Jalen Johnson is not coming back. We have Orlando sitting nice and pretty with a home game, right? Home game against the Atlanta Hawks, who have shown that they can play high-level basketball against good teams, but this is not a good team, as we can see right now. So they might not play high-level basketball. I'm looking at the matchup. I think Orlando wins this game, man. I think defensively they punch it on Trae Young. They make it really uncomfortable for him, and the responsibility just come a little bit too much. And I think they don't need to score a ton in this game. I think defensively they'll be able to hone in on that end. And if they're healthy, I can see them really grinding this out and making this a nasty, ugly Orlando win. So I'm taking Orlando in this one.
I will also go with Orlando. I love the matchups that the Magic can present with Jalen Suggs and then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and you have a lot of size in this group. That really is the perfect scenario to defend Trae Young as best as you can. Now, this is obviously a playing game. A lot of things can happen. I could expect KCP to play quite well in this game. Has not been able to hit shots this year. It's been a bad signing. But in this kind of winner-go-home spot, not for the Magic, obviously, but one-game elimination scenario, I could see them having just a big shooting night from one of those few veterans. So I'll go with Orlando.
Yeah, that's why I think one-game scenario, I think the Hawks and Trae Young can win this game. I am excited to see, can the Magic get 20 to 25 consecutive games of their two stars together to build some, momentum and just some continuity there. But what I've seen so far this year is, as Riv mentioned, the big games, the Hawks step up against the Cavs, against the Celtics, against the Knicks. They have stepped up in all those big moments. In a one-game situation, I think Trae Young could go out there and have 40, even though as great as the Magic's defense is, he's a big game player in a one-game situation. You need some scoring. I trust Atlanta, what they got going on. Okay. I do think once we get to it, I do think the Magic still make the playoffs, but my vote would be for the Atlanta Hawks.
And sometimes Trae Young will guard himself by taking 50-foot threes and missing and chucking at the rim. So,
He hits them too.
Not that much. You look at the efficiency.
Trae Young.
He's better than Halliburton.
He'll chuck those threes.
Who's your vote?
I'm going with the Magic in this scenario.
Magic gets voted.
Yes. The Heat versus the Bulls.
The Heat punch it.
Miami.
On Chicago.
I don't think we got to talk about this.
And if they lose, oh God.
So if the Heat win, then we have the Heat versus the Hawks.
I would take the Heat in this one also.
I would take the Heat too.
I think they're a better team.
Okay.
I'm going to favor Miami. I really enjoy watching Khalil and Bam playing together. And on top of that, I could expect playoff Wiggins with Tyler Hero kind of manning the show.
Yeah. He's scared.
I saw Tatum put it on Wiggins.
Really big fan of watching that group play, and I would take Miami. Also, Eric Spoelstra too.
And you're right. Bam Adebayo has benefited from Khalil. You know who doesn't need a 5 to benefit from nobody? I'm just saying.
I think it's about Draymond.
I'm just saying. He's right. I'm just saying.
That's what he said.
I'm just saying. Cavaliers versus the Heat first round. Upset alert?
This would be a good series. It'd be a fun series, but I don't think it's a real upset alert. I would have Cleveland win that in 5 games.
Yeah. I don't want to disrespect Spo. I don't want to disrespect Spo because I feel like Spo is the best coach in basketball. I think that's somebody who can get the best out of his guys. He's somebody that can scheme up against any team with the proper personnel. Proper personnel is the key phrase here, because I do not think they have the personnel to fuck with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think defensively, Mobley might have some trouble. Jarrett might have some trouble with Bam and Khalil Ware. That's something they found in the front court. But in terms of that guard play that the Cleveland Cavaliers have, if DG does come to play come playoff time, that could be really scary for this team and the Cavs. I can see them winning in 5 games.
Yeah, the Heat just don't have any perimeter defense.
Hayward Highsmith, man.
That's their main option. But you have multiple elite creators. Garland playing extremely well this year.
That's why you got Bam. He's basically a perimeter defender.
He has to
deal with Mobley.
I know you joke around, but it's Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Davion Mitchell's really the best one at the guard spot.
It's a tall task.
They don't have enough guys.
He definitely can guard.
That's the only one. He's other side, bench, and he has some questions with his offensive impact. So
Terry Rozier is not even that good on offense. He's been
horrible.
Want him on
he's been
defense.
awful. He's been terrible.
And this Miami team, I think it's funny because they traded Jimmy Butler, and now I feel like this core that they have is really good. Like Wiggins, Hero, Bam,
Solid
Khalil Ware.
foundation.
It's like if you could get a top 10 player, which obviously don't grow on trees, but if you could get a top 10 player without giving up some of these pieces, this is a real team that could compete with Spo. Obviously, though, they don't have that this year.
So next series, we have the Celtics versus the Magic.
Probably be nasty, probably be a little ugly, but Boston wins this in 5.
I think the Celtics would sweep them.
They
don't get one?
It's
I'll tell you
possible.
what. This,
Miami got one on us last year just by hitting 24 threes.
right,
So.
but this Magic
Orlando is
team,
not capable of hitting.
This
that.
Magic team is so poorly constructed that there's not a single. Last time I checked a week ago before the All-Star break, there's not a single active player in their team shooting 35% from three or higher.
They have a bottom 2 offense in basketball.
Think about that. Their best shooter, Mo Wagner, tore his ACL 2 months ago.
God
Where do
bless
you
them.
fall in the Franz and Paolo discussion?
I think Jeff Weltman and John Hammond deserve to go to prison for the way they built this team.
Okay.
I know Drew talked about it. This team
Prison.
makes no calls. They make no moves.
Prison.
Yes.
They deserve to go to jail.
Well,
where rapists and murderers are.
Basketball jail.
You built a bad basketball team.
This is where they need to go. I just
is
want to
figured.
get
They
This
go
is
where
figurative.
Nico Harrison goes.
correct.
No, he
Okay.
needs to
They need to
probably.
go to
But
basketball
he,
jail.
no.
They don't go where he goes. He goes to
They
jail.
need
He goes to
to
maximum
they need to go to
security. They go
basketball
to
jail. They're watching
county jail.
80s
I don't think
basketball.
this is okay. I was using
Like where Karl Malone is?
I can't use figurative language in this scene. Apparently, here's the thing: they do not deserve to be with the way they've constructed this team moving forward, this front office, because there is zero floor spacing coming. I know they've tried with Chet Howard and the KCP signing, but the fact that this team has the worst spacing in the league, despite having the best player from the 2022 draft and then one of the 3 best players and one of the 4 best players in the 2021 draft, I think their duo can easily work if you put the pieces around them.
Who's better, Paolo or Franz?
Paulo? But Paulo's also a year and a half younger. I look at what he was last year in the playoffs in that
Here's OD.
in that situation we were playing against a premier defense and how well Paulo raised level of play. He's also a lot younger, a lot more raw. Franz a lot more polished. People will compare the two and vie them against each other, but Franz is the more complete player right
And
now.
I'm not going to defend the Magic's front office ownership, but to be fair, Jalen Suggs coming off shooting 40%.
Yeah,
KCP,
this
you
year
thought
has
was
been
going to
a-
be maybe not last year, but like
I expect him
36,
to drop
37
off,
at
not as
minimum.
much as he
Or
has.
he's been
Yeah.
31% 3-point shooter
Yeah.
this year, so
And those passes
it's
not
a
coming
little
from
unlucky.
Jokic.
Yeah,
I
right.
think
Make a
they've
difference.
It's not the perfect pocket.
I think they've just continued to wait and not make any sort of calls or have
Anthony
any
Simon should be on the
ambition.
team.
I strongly think so. So
know,
I think it's more so their lack of ambition.
Apparently,
which
there was this
frustrates
report
me.
that the GM for the Magic, he doesn't ever pick up
I
the
think
phone.
Drew was
Yeah.
talking about that, right?
Yeah, he only.
I was, but it's okay, John. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's on me.
I think it was Dell.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
but
Had that report
never
sourced.
he usually
Sorry,
just
bro.
like he'll answer, but he won't pick up, make calls. No, he just kind of rides.
Drew
the
said
wave.
it was a fireable offense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Knicks versus the Pistons.
Are you worried?
No, this is a 5-game series, bro.
Okay, it's easy.
Come on, let's be honest here.
You know, Cade could be the best player
Detroit
in the
has
series.
the best player in the series.
No, the Knicks have it. It's Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's the
Let's
best player. in
respect
the
Claude
series.
Brunson.
I think Cade. I think Cade.
right now.
I think Cade can probably become,
enough.
you know, the better player of the two in like
Easily.
maybe a couple
Right.
years.
Couple.
But no,
brother.
Jalen Brunson right now, post January, has been one of the very best players in basketball.
Cade Cunningham
one of the
post
5
all
best.
season has been one of the best
Cade's
players in
definitely
basketball.
been top 15.
But Jalen Brunson's better than
Real
Cade,
lie.
though.
Sure,
he's
I'm
better
with
than
you.
him.
I think that
He's better
playoff
at the rim.
Brunson,
He's better
yeah.
at shooting. He's better at mid range.
Playoff Brunson.
He's better in the
overlooking.
post.
He's their Cade guy.
Taking care of the ball.
Yeah, Brunson's one of the
got a lot of
Brunson's one of the best post. He's honestly mini Luka. He's mini Luka. That's what he is.
Okay.
No, he's a great player. He's a great player. He's probably a better defender than Luka.
It's just like why
He tries.
You know why do we have to go that far?
Takes a lot of charges.
He does take a lot of charges. At least he's got some positives defensively.
He
you know?
does.
Let me
I
go-
think he has more positives than Cat defense.
Let me go find
It's easier
some
to hide him than Cat.
advanced numbers to favor Cade over Brunson. I'll be back.
I got the Knicks in this series though. Detroit, it's gonna be awesome to see Cade in the playoffs for the first time. But I mean, this team just doesn't stack
Let's
up.
see
to
what
New
he
York.
does against OG Anunoby.
I feel like this could be
Well, I mean, all you're gonna have to do is
This
plug 2
could
guys
be
on him. We ain't got nobody else.
a really fun series
Unfortunate.
if Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. hit their shots.
Oh God.
Tim Hardaway Jr. revenge series against the Knicks
I
potentially.
don't hate it, but Malik
Look who we're
Beasley has
relying
been
on.
so excellent this year, so damn good for them. I think this could be a fun series, like a competitive 5 to 6 games, and I easily think Cade could win them too. And also, Asar
Jalen
Thompson being healthy
Easily
opens up
win
a
them
lot.
too.
If this
Asar's
was the
been
6
good.
games,
Cade's
that's
been
this year.
so
Asar's
damn
been
Are
Asar's
we
been
just
great.
are we just expecting Cade to outplay
Asar's
Brunson in
been
this
really
series?
good.
No, I'm not.
Have you
expecting
locked
that.
in?
But
They haven't
I
played
think,
since we talked
I
about
think
it.
Detroit kind of plays a similar brand, And I really do believe Cade can have a couple of insanely good games.
Who's
this
guarding
season.
Cat?
Doesn't look, no, you're
guarding
correct, bro. There's
Cat.
no way.
And
trying-
the front
let me
court
try
is
another
playmaking
but,
or something?
Yeah,
Durant.
playmaking.
I mean,
Let
assuming
me try
Jalen
that. Let me
Durant?
try another website.
assuming that Mitch isn't out there.
Cat's
'cause
giving
then
him 40, bro. Let's
Durant
be
match
honest.
up on Mitch, but I beef
Durban
Stu
what?
matching up on Cat.
That brother stinks, man.
I didn't say anything
Let's
positive.
let's.
I'll go, man. This should be a sweep.
Beef
I
stew.
respect
Beef
Cade
stew
and the
suck.
Pistons.
I think they get
Give them
one.
one game. I'll go with 5. But
Listen,
Knicks win
Cade's
this
getting
in
one or
5.
two.
Listen, man.
Two is
Listen.
little stretch.
Listen.
Top 10 defense.
All I ask for is grace. This is all I ask for is grace for Cade walking into that series.
Oh, he's already making excuses for a bad series.
because he's gonna
Look
have
at
to
that.
see OG. We're not worried about the Mikal matchup. I promise to God, we're not worried about the Mikal matchup. It's the OG matchup. It's to possibly seeing 2. Just want to have a little grace. His team, like John just mentioned, he has to rely on Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley to hit shots going up against the top 5 offense.
Well, Malik Beasley's been
Malik's
great
done it for
this year.
45
I agree, but that's still not somebody
Listen,
who
they're going to
walk
try to
into
get
the
Brunson
playoffs.
on Cade, and they're going to try to,
Or
with
Cat.
Cade, work on Cat. Yeah, well, they're going to try to get
Cat.
both of them into action.
Well, Cat could do his thing.
They're just
Well,
going to
guess
do what thing?
Do what?
They need Cat at the 4 defensively.
You saw what Cade did in the Garden? Stop disrespecting him. Stop disrespecting him.
You just basically made an excuse for him having a bad series.
No, I'm saying have grace. His
He
first
does have
time
a
in.
point. They
Have
don't have a
grace.
second creator. It's Tobias Harris.
Yeah, have grace. Tobias. Like,
Harris.
dude, he might get benched.
And it wasn't Tobias Harris 4 years ago in 2021.
Asar Thompson might put Brunson in a box.
Yeah, he's not doing nothing. Amen Thompson couldn't even guard him.
Asar's a better defender.
Yeah, but still, Jalen Brunson would fry him.
Fry?
Yeah, Jalen Brunson would
Brunson
fry
did fry
almost anybody.
Amen. He did
Asar's
fry
a better
him.
defender. We're
Let's
here.
pay some
You
respect.
gotta
Right.
fight. Hey, you may get one twin. You won't get the other. That's all
No,
I'm
he'll
saying.
get both.
Now, I
Actually.
got, Knicks should sweep.
Twins come in pairs.
Yeah.
Knicks should sweep. They're the
5
better team.
games.
They should sweep. I give him 5.
It's coming pairs.
Yeah, he's nuts.
I don't know.
Cade will win one in Detroit. That's where he's gonna get one. He'll get
Okay.
one in
I
Detroit,
can see
and then
that.
the series will be over.
Pacers versus the Bucks.
Is Hallie gonna play good?
Probably not.
The Bucks should win if they're healthy.
Last year he played fine. 18.
He's still dealing with something.
18-8 is adorable.
But it's better efficiency. So
I don't feel like we put it. I don't feel like we give enough grace to NBA athletes who have to travel all the time because at home Halliburton
You just
plays
told me
amazing.
don't give no excuses for Cade.
I didn't say don't
He's
give them. I
carrying
said
a
you're
much bigger
making
load.
excuses for
He's
Cade.
carrying a much
Did I
bigger
ever
load.
say don't give excuses to Cade? I ever said don't
The
give
way you
excuses.
felt, the way you
I just said that's
Bible-
what you're
you're
doing.
already giving him excuses if he doesn't play.
You already given the excuse he can't sleep on his bed properly.
No, he can't. It's a big deal. I mean, you need
Aw,
your
skinny man.
mattress.
He needs to,
You know, it's not the most comfortable sleeping in a hotel. It's sleeping
They got
somewhere
enough
random.
money to
the
fucking
best hotels
fry
you
him
can get.
back and forth each night if it really
Brother-
matters.
That brother stinks. But he can play
18
well
and
against the
8
Bucks.
stinks now. Come on, let's be honest.
He can play well against the Bucks.
This is Steve Nash MVP numbers, and he stinks.
18-8 is
You
fine
want me
for
to
like
pull
a
up Steve Nash's
non-all-star
per
type
36
dude.
numbers? Let me pull up Steve Nash's per 36.
I got Milwaukee in this series though, man. I think they bounce back, assuming Giannis is healthy. Because if we're assuming, everyone's healthy in these matchups, because Giannis these last few years have not been able to stay healthy, and even in some of the games he has been healthy, they haven't been able to win. Looking at that Heat series from a couple of years ago, but yeah, I mean Milwaukee, I don't think they're like a real contender in the East. I don't know if they can make an ECF run, but they should be able to get past the Pacers in the first round.
Per 100 possessions, those numbers is ridiculous.
I'm also going with the Bucks in this series. They have the second best player in the world for one, and we saw last year Chris Middleton go crazy versus Indiana, but Damian Lillard also stepped up, and I expect that duo to just rise their level of play in the postseason.
And they have Kyle Kuzma.
And I hated the move at first because I'm a Chris Middleton fan, but I kind of had
Strike me
warmed
like that.
up. How can I not be? I mean,
I don't know.
Kyle
not.
Kuzma, the idea of him as kind of a complementary player, where he's a rugged rebounder, a solid defender, a decent cutter, and maybe a better shooter playing
Playmaker.
off of Giannis. I've kind of warmed up to the idea of him contributing on a positive level and just being more impactful than he was in Washington. So I didn't like the move because I just love Middleton, but I kind of like the idea of Kuzma in the playoffs. So I'm going with the Bucks here in 6 games.
So the
Famous last
second round
words.
match was we have the Cavaliers
Oh, I have the Bucks, by the way.
and the Bucks. And then we have the Knicks and Celtics. Before we get into that, we're going to go to the West. Timberwolves versus the Mavericks for the 7th seed.
Damn, that's actually tough as fuck. And we're assuming Dallas is healthy. I got Dallas. Yeah, I think Dallas wins on the road. Defensively, I think they cause a lot of trouble for a guy like Ant-Man. Specifically, because I feel like he's gonna start to get they're gonna have guys like Najee Marshall, PJ Washington at the perimeter, which I don't think will be able to stop Ant. But Ant's thing is, if he does get past him, you have to see AD or Lively at the rim, who are going to be real legit trouble. Now, Nas Reed can cause some real trouble in taking one of those bigs out. He's been a scorcher ever since January, which is something huge. But I think defensively, the way Dallas is going to be able to guard Minnesota, which Minnesota has a lot of guys who are either ball stoppers or not the most trustworthy on the offensive side of the ball. And then offensively, Kyrie has seen this team already. I think now you could put Jaden on Kyrie because you don't have to put Jaden on Luka. But I think AD can have real fun in this series. Rudy Gobert has never really been able to hold him. And then either Randall or Nas Reed can't guard AD. And I think they have a good enough amount of shooters to where if they're healthy, they can make some noise. So I got Dallas in this one. I think they'll win this game.
This is a great matchup. I am not going to take Anthony Edwards, though, in the single elimination game and bet against him. And to me, I have a lot more optimism in the Timberwolves kind of figuring out their lineup if and when Randall does come back, because I expect them and I hope they move Randall to the bench. And with that, kind of open up the game for everyone else. I expect their offense to be a lot better, and I really do look at them as more of a second half team. So I'm going to go with the T-Wolves here.
This is tough. I also think I'm taking Dallas. When River and I were talking in the car, Dallas to me is a, outside of the top like 3 teams in each conference, right? If I had like a sleeper team, Dallas is that team to me, just because when they are healthy and you have all of those bigs with Gafford, AD, and Lively, and I understand I think the big hesitation is, number one, just the playmaking on that team, right? Like outside of Kyrie Irving, who's really like the next creator who is creating for others, creating for themselves. I think that's definitely a fair, concern to have. But defensively, man, this could be the best defense in basketball. When you have those bigs, when you have guys on the perimeter like Najee and PJ, who I agree with you, Riv. I don't think they're going to be the best at stopping Anthony Edwards, but I think when you have those guys on the back end guarding the rim, you're just going over on screens. You're doing your best to make sure that Ant can't shoot 40% on 10 threes in that game. And if he goes downhill and he's finishing above those guys, on those guys, that he really hasn't been doing as highly efficiently as he has been in years past, you just live with that. So one game situation, even though I do like Ant in that, must have it type of game, I really like what Dallas can be if they're healthy.
If they're healthy, I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. I think it's a tough matchup for Minnesota, who really don't have much shooting, even with their new lineup. But I do like what Jalen Clark has been giving them. You saw how he played defense on SGA.
Right.
He really
SGA hell.
He really clamped them, So
Facts.
Jalen Clark, he's been a great addition to the lineup, and he's one of the great development stories
He's been
on the
solid for
team.
them. You guys don't think this is a lost year for the Mavericks, where Gafford's out up until
Depends on how the
April?
playoffs shake up, bro.
Davis out the next month? Lively's out a little bit
It could
more.
be a lost year.
If they win this game right here and they fly over to the WCF, you'll say, nah, it's not a lost year.
I'm saying, are they even going to get to this point with how many injuries they have? Because of the injuries,
I mean, it makes
are they
sense,
gonna be able to
but
get
we just saw Kyrie Irving drop 40 on Golden State before the All-Star break. So
We had Buddy Hield
how
going.
consistently can you count on that with how
shit
many injuries
killed
they have?
me.
in the
Kyrie Irving's averaging 25 a night. I think Kyrie Irving, he is going to put his best foot forward. I don't see the Mavericks tanking. If they lose, they're probably going to lose because they're unhealthy. But as
That's
of
what
recently,
I'm
they've been
saying.
playing good basketball.
That's where they don't even have healthy Dwight Powell.
That's a fact.
They don't have any bigs right now.
So
Shit, they've been playing all right, though. They've been playing hard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, John, you're right. There's a chance this team falls to 10 seed. This team, this chance falls to 11 seed. But
yeah.
Kings versus the Warriors.
I got Golden State. The addition of Jimmy Butler.
Round 2, baby.
Yeah.
It's round 3,
What
actually.
do you guys, 3-1 with Jimmy Butler now?
Yeah.
was
We
3-1
played
with Jimmy
them in
Butler.
the playoffs the year before, and then last year in the play, we lost. So
Yeah.
round 3, yes.
But I really like what the Warriors can be with Jimmy Butler here and Steph Curry, of course, Draymond. And I don't know, man. The Kings losing De'Aaron Fox, that's brutal. I know Zach LaVine, of course, he's another creator. You have guys, Sabonis, DeMar. We know they're a talented team. But I like what I've seen so far with Jimmy Butler and Golden State.
I'm also going to go with the Warriors here. 'Cause I'm optimistic, and we've seen this in these initial stretches with Jimmy being in the mix. There's a lot for all 3 of these stars to play for, and I think it rounds out their lineup a lot more than I expected because it relieves so much pressure off of Steph. And I think especially in these gotta-have-it situations, you're always going to get the best version of Jimmy, so I'm going to go with the Warriors.
Yeah, I think defensively, too, Jimmy's going to be back to that, high-level
He's
defender.
been playing really good defense on the help side. I love what I'm seeing. The Moses Moody has been playing some good hoops, man. We got Quentin Post.
all coming together.
Apparently a
It's a
bucket,
bucket,
according
man.
to John.
Can we drop that, bro?
No, we can't.
A bucket in the pick and roll lob, nobody around him.
Pick and roll pop.
Yeah, we
Pick
played
a pop,
we
pick a
played some
pop,
good
pop,
basketball, though. We had some good players playing good ball. I'll
can't
take
go
us
no
against
more.
the Kings.
I'm going with the Warriors too, so that means for the 8th seed, you have the Timberwolves versus the Warriors.
We beat them 3 times this
I'm
year.
going with the Wolves, man. Let's be honest.
We beat them 3 times this year, all clutch games. And that was with our team. Kind of both of the teams, I feel like they were in different parts in the season. This one, I think, is a bit of a tougher challenge, but give me Steph Curry on the road. Give me Steph Curry and give me Jimmy Butler. I'll take the Warriors against Minnesota.
I think I'm taking the Warriors too.
I don't want this to be a clean sweep. I really think we're underestimating the T-Wolves.
Why? Because we're.
Well, I'll pick the Wolves. So if you
Right.
pick the Warriors, it won't be a clean sweep.
I know.
So you can maybe pick the Warriors and not feel bad about it.
Okay.
You were gonna
So
pick
you're
the
going
Warriors.
with the
I'm
Warriors.
picking Golden State.
Oh, you were-
Let's go. So in the first round, we have OKC versus the Warriors.
All right. OKC in 6.
Yeah, I think OKC wins in 5 or 6.
I will
Respect
also
6
take
games.
the Thunder.
5 or
but
6.
I think this could be a great series with Jimmy because Jimmy's the difference maker, which won't always be indicated on the stat sheet. And I believe that this could be a series that maybe goes to. You're asking whether or not
This
to
could
go to
be
7
upset
games.
alert.
We
Maybe
don't have a POA. That's what kills me.
Jimmy.
He'll be more in the help side, backline, especially in this matchup with Hartenstein and Chet.
You got to
down
count
there.
on Kuminga quite a lot.
Yes,
so.
that's a fact. We'll need Jimmy to help down low because we're gonna play small ball unless they want Kuminga to help down
So
there.
give me OKC and like
I'm excited for it though. I
10-6.
think OKC is a good matchup for us in the sense of they don't have a dominant big man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that would kill us.
From a storyline perspective, I want to see this series. Draymond has kind of chattered about OKC not being ready for the moment, so I think this would be a tremendous series if they played.
Shea pushing 30. You gotta get
I'd
ready
go
soon.
with OKC though. Grizzlies versus the
already-
Mavericks.
Ooh.
Grizzlies
tough.
I'm
versus
going with the
Mavericks.
Mavericks.
Yeah, if Mavericks are healthy, this is tough for my Grizz, man. You just got 2 big men in AD and Lively that can cause some real
And they
trouble.
lose this series, Ja gets traded in the offseason.
It's almost like a silly comment that you said out loud that you
Yeah.
think makes sense. Jaren I think might struggle. I think Ja at the rim is going to be some trouble. You got AD down there, and every time he plays AD, it's always a trouble because they don't have a legit perimeter guy that can guard Ja. That's the difference. But Memphis plays such a different style of basketball now. I'll take Memphis in this one. I think Memphis wins in 7. I think it's a tough ass series. I'll go Memphis.
I'm also going to go with the Grizzlies here because I just bank on that defense translating, especially in that early, like that first round series. I expect John Morant to kind of raise that level of play from the regular season to what we've seen in the past. Because anytime he has went up against Anthony Davis, we've seen him be an elite playoff performer. On top of that, I just love the combination of Jaren playing as well as he has defensively and the amount of depth they have. So
So injury sliders off. You're still going with the Grizzlies.
I'll go with
We're gonna have to flip a coin because I got Dallas in this. I think this is if for any matchup Dallas could get, I feel like Memphis is that one series you're looking at like
It's like
this
the
is
worst
who
I will
one
say
for
if
them.
we would
No,
want to
it's definitely
play.
Houston.
if
Houston's the
AD
worst.
is healthy, that's where I can really see him.
Houston or
making-
Grizzlies. I feel like you said about basically every team wants to face those 2 teams. You know.
For sure.
'Cause I'm just right now. I'm not banking on AD being 100% if he's out there on the
Well,
floor.
in this world, we're assuming everyone's healthy.
I don't know. I think
Okay.
I think it's a bad matchup, but I think offensively, the way Memphis has been playing this year and being much better in the half court, I don't think it's as bad as people makes it think.
Though
Or people
my
makes it seem.
biggest worry about Dallas is if you went up against, for example, the Thunder, if you went up against the Lakers and you have to go up against an elite shot maker on the other end where you're going down the fourth quarter and you have to go bucket for bucket. Kyrie is great, AD is great, but I feel like SGA, Luka, LeBron, they're on a different level.
For sure, for
Memphis
sure.
just like shout to Josh, shout to Jaren. They're KD, AD. I trust them.
for sure. It's just
And they're
I
playing a
agree.
different
KD,
brand of basketball
Kyrie.
this year. Like they're not pick and roll heavy. They've really moved away from John Morant, and a lot of their basketball is coming from just off ball movement,
transition.
finding like open spaces in the defense and cutting towards those spaces. And I don't know how well that's going to translate into the playoffs when you don't have most of your actions running through one person just
Yeah,
dictating
you have
terms.
to. That's the thing. That's why it's a tricky thing because in the playoffs, you're gonna have to rely on 12. Like you're gonna have to go back to that pick and roll, going back to the slow down game. So to not do it all year and then to translate to do it in the playoffs, it's gonna be a little difficult. But offensively for Dallas, I don't think they're the most reliable either. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
No.
they're the most trustworthy either. Like
They're not perfect, right?
yeah,
I mean,
defensively,
they're
I think it's gonna be a
dangerous.
defensive battle. I
Yeah.
think defensively, it's going to be a dogfight.
So
Do you
this
think-
next series, go John.
Well, who do you have winning? We're 2-2.
Well, I think if you have the Nuggets beating the Clippers in the next series,
It doesn't really
I guess
matter.
it doesn't, unless you think Dallas or Memphis will beat Denver,
I don't.
then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was your question?
Do you think Ja gets his get back in the event that AD and Gafford and Lively are healthy?
I think he has to. I think there's a lot of pressure on him right now to kind of be the face and kind of come up playoff time. I think we love Jaren. I think Jaren's a great player. I think he's been a great 2-way player this year. I think you still need 12 to be the best player, and I think come playoff time, you need them both to be on high end. It's not even about like being the best player or anything. You need both of them to be at that high end energy. And I think with John Morant, a lot of the stuff in the playoffs is going to run through him because he is the best passer on the team. He's going to have the ball a ton. And I think with Desmond Bane not taking as many threes and with the lineup getting cut to like 8 to 9 guys, there's going to be a lot of guys who aren't going to be as dangerous with the ball in their hands. So you're going to need Ja to kind of step his game up. And he's shown that in the playoffs. So to not do it would be like, disappointment.
The
But
Nuggets
we all have Denver.
versus Clippers. We all got Denver, even though Clippers playing some good basketball.
Fair.
Rockets versus the Lakers. Is
Got
this a
the
clean
Lakers.
sweep for the Lakers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the Lakers win in 6 or 7.
That's a tough draw for Houston.
There's nothing wrong with Houston losing, though.
So our second round matchups in the West are OKC versus the Lakers and either the Grizzlies or the Mavericks versus the Nuggets. So let's start
we all
off.
got Denver beat.
Yes.
We could just move on.
Let's
Just
start
don't-
off
don't
with
make
the
it weird.
East. We have the
Okay.
Cavs versus the Bucks. We all have the Cavaliers.
I'm pretty comfortable with it.
I'll go with the Cavs in 6.
Big Kuz guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you lost me with that.
I think he.
Hey, he's a good complimentary
in the
player.
Lakers
He could be.
system,
He might. He could
He's
be.
awful.
in Los Angeles.
He
was
could
the
be.
third
Kuzma's
best-
awful.
He was the third best.
You
he
haven't
was-
seen his Bucks
bro,
games, man.
He was.
He hasn't been good with the
played like
Bucks.
the third most minutes on a
I
team.
feel like
that
he's
won
had like
championship.
one or two good games, one or two bad games. Yeah, I got Cleveland in this series too.
I don't know. That was crazy.
I think that's
'Cause
tough.
Do you
was-
think it's a coin flip with
John,
the
that's
Bucks
almost
and
a decade
Cavs, or you
ago.
got the Cavs comfortably?
2020 was 5 years ago, buddy? That's half a decade ago.
All right, sorry, I was exaggerating. Point of, he's been ass for 3 years.
In Washington. So
I mean, you don't just magically get better
we
as you
can't
get
just
older.
forget the fact he played the third most minutes.
was
on a team that
younger.
Won a championship. So
He was younger.
he's the same player. So
He's not the
Anyways,
same
I'll
player.
go with the
You're a
Cavaliers.
liar.
He went to Washington.
He's
but
not the same
He went to
player.
Washington was playing for jack shit. So that's the difference.
All right, all right. yeah,
I'll go
yeah,
with the Cavs in
sure.
6 games.
Okay, I can't wait to
We're all
circle
going
this
with the
back.
Cavs. Knicks versus the Celtics.
It's a tough
going
draw
with
for
the
your boys,
Celtics.
man.
I'll be
I
honest,
don't
the
think
Celtics
Knicks
win
can
in
hang.
5 games.
The Knicks can't hang.
They might beat
Yeah.
the shit out of y'all.
Yeah.
Yo, not even oh
It's
my
5 or
God.
6, and I don't see it
Yo,
being too
you
bad.
guys built up this team to get your ass waxed on.
They-
You guys are praying you get the Cavs in the second round.
Yeah. You guys can do whatever you can to get.
I wasn't gonna get disrespectful, but I got Boston in 5.
Yeah, we're the Bulls.
I'm not a Bulls fan.
The Bulls.
The crazy thing is that they spent $300 million and 6 first-round picks plus
Talk.
RJ and made him quickly to build a team to
I don't even
defend
know why you
Boston.
added them, but
and
yeah.
they don't look close.
Well, listen, the RJ and IQ move looks pretty damn good. The 6 first, not as
Lost.
great.
Well, it's more they add to it. Well, part of the reason why I think they traded for Mikal is because of OG's injury issues. Because he's not
Yeah.
someone that's going to play.
I mean,
70
I'm not
games.
shocked. I didn't think the Knicks were going to beat the Celtics after the trades. That's why I didn't like the trades.
They wasn't gonna beat them before the trade.
Well, we needed difference. I mean, we needed to wait for someone like Giannis to become available and then trade those picks for Giannis. And then we would have beat the shit out the Celtics. But, you know,
Do it in 2K. I know how it works.
because that didn't happen. It's unfortunate. Okay, OKC versus the Lakers.
Here we go.
I'm going with OKC. I honestly don't think the series is really that close. I'll be honest.
Just want to point out, in every single game Kuzma has played, he's had a negative plus minus with the
A
Bucks.
4-game sample.
Yeah, just want to point that out.
It is a 4-game sample.
Oh, I'm sorry. 3 out of the 4 games he's played, he's had a negative plus minus. The one game he did play good in, when he had a
Minnesota?
I don't know why we're
Minnesota.
pretending going from playing in Washington and Giannis and Dame's not going to benefit him.
I'm just asking. I'm
Like
just
I
pointing
do,
out.
I do think with the Lakers and
point it
OKC, the Lakers have offense to maybe keep up with them a little bit, but you have Lou Dort and Caruso and more defenders in the lineup like SJ and J Dub, and then you have a backline that's elite. And really, who's going to guard SJ that entire series? I think the only way the Lakers keep the series close is if the OKC just has bad shooting luck.
And LeBron and Luka go nuclear.
I got the Thunder too, and my concern with the Lakers is that obviously their front court is putrid. My concern is that they only have 6 quality players to play, depending on what Gabe Vincent is. So I feel
He's
like
been playing better.
he has been, but
They called me crazy when I said that.
I can expect that too. But they just don't have enough quality depth, I feel, to really hang with a team like OKC.
I'm not moved by Jared Vanderbilt on the court in the playoffs.
Because he can't play more than like 15 minutes.
He can't.
Yeah,
I'm not moved by Jackson Hayes. I don't care what the B-boy index stuff
I mean,
tells
he is
me.
a hell of a finisher. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm not moved by that in the playoff series. Gabe Vincent, we'll see. Dorian Finney-Smith, I trust.
Rui.
Don Connect, Rui,
I don't think he gets
yes.
playoff minutes.
That's really
Reeves,
those top
yes. LeBron, Luka, we're here.
After the top 4 gets dicey.
Yeah, and I think OKC, they don't have, there's nothing that scares them in the paint. Like, they don't have a dominant big. They don't have a rim protector. No,
Hartenstein's can
this is
24
SGA.
points. Yeah.
You have free roam to do whatever you want against this defense. Get Luka in the switch. Get LeBron Odas in the switch. Get Rui Hachimura. Get Austin Reeves. Pick apart everybody on that roster. They don't have no backline help. Just be so much better as a passer. be better as a passer than you were last year against Dallas, and everything's clean. J-Dub, you also can do whatever you want against 90% of these defenders. So I got OKC in 6 games.
I got OKC too. I want to see what the Lakers look like in the second half of the season because I don't want to just completely throw them away. We have seen, Luka make WCF runs with pretty terrible teams where, with teams that didn't have LeBron James on it and Austin Reeves, who's playing at a super high level. But OKC's been too damn good and too damn dominant in this regular season. And they got both sides going for them, right? Because I do think they'll be able to get a bucket damn near every time down the court if SGA is just mismatch hunting. And on the other side, while LeBron and Luka are always going to cause advantages, are always going to have open shots for their teammates, this is one of the best defenses we've ever seen. So although I do think the Lakers offensively could be like a top 3, top 5 unit in basketball, OKC is going to cause them some trouble.
Now we got the conference finals matchups. OKC versus Denver. Who you guys going with?
Denver. I thought this team was really good in the offseason. I thought it would be a lot on Christian Brown, Strawther, Peyton Watson, and Westbrook to really get this team going. And Westbrook and Christian Brown have been great for this team. Strawther's been up and down, and Peyton defensively, you know what he does, just offensively, hit or miss. But Aaron Gordon and Mike, they still have one of the best starting fives in basketball. And when Westbrook, if he continues to play this way until the playoffs, which I know is a question mark, and it should be because he has shown us he's not always the same player in the playoffs, but he's been playing a lot different this year as opposed to years prior. Yeah. And I think the Joker can still get the best out of him in the playoffs. I think Denver is geared up for another run. OKC, for me, it's about how Hartenstein and Chet are going to be so integral to what they want to do because if they cannot hold down the fort against the Joker like Kat and Rudy were able to do in that Minnesota series. And then if they can't have an answer for Jamal, I think Denver can walk away and go to the finals. So I got Denver.
I got the Thunder win the series. And when it comes down to, for me, there's 3 things.
What?
It's a Nuggets fan, too.
I know. And as a Nugget fan, I'm kind of concerned with this.
You didn't pick the Nuggets like 20 minutes ago?
No, I took the Thunder.
You did?
Clip. Yes. Now,
that's on me, Joe.
As a Nugget fan, Christian Brown this year's been incredible. He's been as good as you could ask for. He's been better than KCP. He hasn't been close when you compare their situations. But the 3 things I look at, number 1, I believe this is the series where Isaiah Hartenstein established himself as a top 10 caliber center, someone who really does match up with these elite level bigs and defends well and respectively. And I feel like his post defense can really be put on full display here where he can contain, and then you have Chet roaming, and then I think Chet is the other X factor. If he's hitting his threes, he's healthy, and he's roaming, it does give the Thunder that luxury on the defensive end where they can match up with Jokic better than any team. And then on the offensive end, this is the 3rd thing for me. I believe Shea is one of the toughest matchups for Jokic defensively, where in that mid-range game, he's going to give him a lot of trouble having to rise up and drop. And I think that opens up the game for their shooters to play a lot better than they did in that second-round series last year versus the Mavericks. I just believe this team's way more prepared, and they have a lot more answers for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray than anybody else on both ends of the floor. And plus, on top of that, I think Mark Dagnall's an excellent coach. So I think it would be a great series. I expect Jokic to kill. But I believe the Thunder just have more firepower, and they're a more experienced team than a year ago to kind of get this series and surprise some people.
It's going to be a tough series. I think it goes 6-7 games, but I got the Nuggets winning it. Okay. Riv, I think what you're saying defensively makes a lot of sense, right? Where you look at what Gobert and Kat did last year, but the biggest difference is this year, Jokic hit a damn jump shot. I mean, last year, his jumper completely fell apart. This year, he's been one of the most effective jump shooters in the NBA. There's no mid-range, three-point, restricted area. We know how efficient of a shooter he is, but specifically from 3, I mean, he was missing some wide-open attempts last year that he is just completely knocking down at like a 40-45% clip this year. So for me, for Denver, really the biggest thing is what version of Jamal Murray are we going to get offensively? Because if you get a version of Jamal Murray that we've seen, I think right before this All-Star break, he went on a little heater, had a 50-point game. Of course, when they won the championship run, he was, one of the best Robins in the NBA at that point. Or we can get the Jamal Murray we saw last year where he wasn't 100%. He didn't have really any sort of explosiveness. That first step that he was so great the year prior getting to the rim was not there. He looked just a bit slower than he did in years past. But if you get something in between that, where maybe it's not as high as the 2022 version, or 23 version, I should say, but not as low as that 24 version, I don't think Chet and Hartenstein can stop Joker. And I think everything that he does off of that with Jamal Murray playing at a all-star-ish level, they'd be able to get past OKC.
I do think it depends on the version of Jamal Murray that they get. And OKC has 2 of the best defenders to defend him with Caruso and Lou Dort. So I do think that that's going to make it really tough on Jamal Murray, and we could see him struggle again in the playoffs in a matchup like this. I think OKC is just a deeper team top to bottom. And while Denver has the best player in the series. I think Jokic is the best player in the series. You don't have the role players that maybe will step up to that level in this series. Like Russell Westbrook, what version are we going to get of him? Christian Brown, same thing. Julian Strawther. I just feel like they're more new to the moment than OKC. Even though they have a young team, they've been to the playoffs already last year, and I think that experience is going to help them this time around to get over the hump. So I have OKC winning, and we're split on that again. And in the conference finals, we have the Cavaliers and the Celtics, and this should be a 3-1 gentleman's sweep, Dells. Cavaliers are going.
You know where I'm standing at, Dells. You know I've been here.
What gives you guys the confidence that
Evan Mobley locking up Jason Tatum and DeAndre Hunter. His addition, his 3-point shooting. D. Mitch, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, the depth, Kenny Atkinson, Coach of the Year. Yeah, going with the Cavs.
Hey, he said some good things. I just think when you're going up against the Cavs, when you're going up against Boston, Boston provides a shit ton of problems. Defensively, they give you guys that can switch on multiple ends with Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White. They give you a good amount of rim protection in Derek White and Porzingis. They play long, they play lengthy, they play physical. But the difference in stopping them is you need guys to dominate the paint. You need guys that are physical, that can dominate the paint. I think the Cavs have a mixture of guys that can attack you in the perimeter and guys that can kill you down low. And I think Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are just regular big men. I think they're big men that can be play finishers, can be connectors. Evan Mobley has shown you he can hit a 3 or 2 every now and then. They've shown you this year that they can exploit mismatches. They can, pack the paint, dominate the paint, be great defenders. And then you got guys like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell who are giving you an edge defensively by just giving you effort, keeping you in plays. And then offensively, I know DG hasn't played his best basketball against the Boston Celtics this year. For the most part, I think he had one good game, one really bad game, and then one like semi-okay game. But the confidence that he's giving you this year, how he's been efficient from everywhere on the floor, from the mid-range to the non-restricted area, to the rim, the floaters in the bag, the mid-range jumper, the three-point, the pull-up, the catch and shoot. I mean, he's just been such an efficient player. And then along with Evan Mobley taking strides in his offensive game, I think then along with getting DeAndre Hunter, who I don't think is a great defender, I do think he's a good offensive player, a good enough scorer that can help alleviate that pressure. And on top of that, he's another big body. I think defensively they run multiple sets of either zones, or they run man, or they do a lot of trapping. You have the two Twin Towers down there. I think this Cavs team has the proper continuity, the proper coaching to make this series tough and even win this series. It really just about, I think the X factors are DG and Mobley. If they can show up, if they can show out, I think the Cavs can legitimately win this series.
My optimism for Cleveland stems from two things. One, I believe that this year they have the completely different offense than last year, where we saw Donovan Mitchell show up and take a game basically from Boston, and that was in spite of them often playing their two bigs together. And I believe that this year what's opened up the game so much for their two guards, DG and Donovan's, the fact that they're not relying on those two bigs as much. And now Mobley's taking more threes too. He's taking 3 per game. He's making them at 37%. He's always been capable. But the big thing is Kenny Atkinson being able to stagger their minutes more, to where you have DeAndre Hunter, he can guard up on a 4s, where Karis LeVert could not. And I feel like for Cleveland, they've basically opened up the best offense in basketball because of that, with how dynamic that backcourt is. And at the same time, for the Celtics, you do have a couple of questions, which is really just, can their supporting cast be as excellent as they were, specifically Derek White and Drew last year? Can they maintain that level of play? Because there's always that championship hangover. But to me, it kind of is more about the Cavaliers just being able to take their offense from 16th to 1st in the NBA. And I believe that gives them a chance to win the series. But to be quite honest, I think the real question is just how they're going to be able to contain Jason Tatum. Because we've seen Hunter on Tatum in the past, and it hasn't looked great. And I feel like it's going to come down to Evan Mobley guarding Tatum and doing the best he possibly can, because I don't think they have another answer for JT, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I'm not taking Cleveland lightly. This isn't the Indiana Pacers, although they gave us the most competitive series out of all year last year. That includes the Dallas Mavericks. But no, I mean, Cleveland's going to be the toughest matchup that Boston has played. And you could argue over the last 2 to 3 seasons of how deep of a team there is, deep of a team they are, how great and dominant they've been in the regular season. What I'm most interested to see is over this last month, and Jack Simone, who's a Celtics reporter, broke this down. Boston's been playing a lot of double big lineups, right? Since January 18th, they're averaging about 30 minutes with double big. So that's, Kornet, Porzingis, Horford, Nemi gets some minutes as well. And it's been really effective. This is a team that has been the number 1 team in terms of rim protection over that span. And prior to that, they were only playing about 19 minutes per game. Some of that was the injury to Porzingis. Some of his minutes were limited in that December stretch when he first got back. But I think Boston wins this series in 6 games. I think what they've shown this year is, although they did have that, 2-month phase where some people, myself included, have some deleted tweets about them. When they've played the top competition this year, they've stepped up and they've showed out. When they've played the Cleveland Cavaliers, or 2-1 against them, that one loss without Jaylen Brown. When they've played against the New York Knicks, they've dominated them both times. And when they played the Bucks, every single time they've had that big matchup, they've stepped up to it. I think this is the best basketball Jason Tatum has played in his career. And listen, you could say the injuries to the Cleveland Cavaliers last year.
Of
course, Donovan Mitchell had that big game. Of course, during the regular season.
Thank you for adding that, bro.
But listen, Porzingis is also probably playing the best basketball of his career. Yep. So if we're getting Porzingis, that, again, a big if, because he has not been able to stay healthy throughout his career. This is the longest stretch we've had, though. This is about 2.5 months, knock on wood, that Porzingis is able to stay healthy. What he brings as a rim protector, what he brings as a 3-point shooter, as a post-up threat, it's just a whole nother level that Cleveland didn't see last year, right? And of course, you're maybe not expecting Jaylen Brown to play as high as a level because he hasn't had as great as a regular season. Jrue Holiday has definitely taken a step down, especially as like a corner shooter than he did last season. But I think in the playoffs, some of those guys are going to step up. Like, I think, especially defensively, where we've seen Boston kind of be lackadaisical at times this year, especially like a lot of the times just bad offense leading to bad defense. They take some bad threes. They don't move the ball as much as they should. And the effort kind of just snowballs on the defensive end. But I think once we get into the playoffs, that's going to completely flip, and we're going to see Jaylen Brown as that lockdown defender. We're going to see Derek White continue to do what he does. Whoever you want, Garland, Donovan.
You know he can't guard D-Mitch.
It don't matter.
You know he can't guard D-Mitch.
I don't think so either. The Celtics didn't have Porzingis last year, but Jared Allen also didn't play in that series either.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying it goes.
If you guys play
both ways.
I don't think you guys are going to play too much of the double big lineup against Cleveland.
DeAndre Hunter can guard Al Horford so well.
It's not even that. It's just your best lineups are probably going to be in the playoffs with Derek White, with Jaylen Brown, Jrue, Tatum on the floor.
They're going to take that shit away.
And on top, if you play the double big, you can play Evan Mobley on Tatum, and then you can put DeAndre Hunter on the big, and then you can have Jared Allen helping off the non-shooting big. And now you're living with Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown. Like, Jaylen Brown could kill him. It's life, but you're living with that because now you have Jared Allen at the rim being able to help, and then you just like a perfect game plan that I think people are going to start to look at is when Memphis just let Jrue Holiday shoot 33s that game they played in Boston, where they just was like, all right, you have Boston. You can't give, like, they're a great team. You have to give up something. We're going to give up Jrue Holiday taking the most shots on the court. And that led to a victory. Also, of course, they have to play high-level basketball on the other end, too. But they let Jrue Holiday shoot a shit ton of threes. They're just like, yo, dude, like, if Jrue Holiday beats us, we live with that. So with Boston, it's tough because they're a dangerous team where their 4 best players at any moment could get hot, and now you're like, fuck. And even their 2 bigs, like, some of their bigs are solid, and they give you a good amount of minutes. And then you got Hauser, you got Pritchard coming off the bench. it could be the best series of the playoffs by far.
I agree.
Like it could be an amazing series, and right now you're sitting there like the Cavs are looking at Boston like this is it. Like this is the circle. This is it. We know every other team is good. The Knicks are good. Milwaukee, they have Giannis. They're good. Indiana, cool. But this is the team we got to beat. This is the team we got to get over the hump. Even last year, you saw Cleveland play their best ball against Boston. Their matchups were always tough. This is a team that they have to get over hump against. So,
listen, that's a Cleveland team that hasn't been in this moment either. They've made second round of the playoffs. I get that, but they haven't been in the ECF against the defending champs on the main stage like that. My biggest concern really is just Al Horford and pick and roll against Donovan Mitchell. I see that dude get killed time and time again. I trust him against Luka, that's for damn sure. But Steph Curry in a drop, Donovan in a drop, those smaller, quicker guards that can just get a 3 off in a half a second. That's where he really gets killed.
So who are you going with?
Oh, the Cavs.
The Cavs.
I do have a lot of reservation because I do worry that Tatum's going to absolutely kill him this series. And Mobley's not.
He always does.
That being said, I have so much optimism in this 5-man lineup because I think DeAndre Hunter rounds it out perfectly.
You're praying.
That
DeAndre
double
Hunter
big lineup
does
shit,
round it out perfectly.
That double big lineup shit, he gonna fucking end that shit.
Look at how cocky these guys are, man.
On top of that,
they have the right to be.
Hey, listen, they got
Sickens
Payton
me.
Pritchard, but we got that Jerome. You know what I'm saying?
So if the NBA Finals is the Nuggets and the Cavs,
over here.
Who wins?
If the Cavs beat Boston, they got it, man.
No, if the Cavs beat Boston, they could beat that.
I'll be honest. If the Nuggets get past the Thunder, they win the finals.
Okay.
I believe the finals.
This is funny. We got the
Nuggets
Nuggets fan and the Celtics
play
fan.
the Celtics. Still going with yes.
Okay.
I got Cavs.
OKC
That's a lot
against
harder.
to
It's a
beat
lot
Denver.
harder, I'll tell you that.
Okay, what would you have?
This is Mobley's gonna lock the Joker up.
Okay, lock the Joker up is crazy.
Mobley's gonna put on the best defensive performance against the Joker we've ever
He
seen.
got a better chance to lock
that you
Tatum up.
can't be serious about.
Of course, yeah.
How much? How
Yeah.
much?
That's
weight-
me. That's
Yeah.
me.
Fucking
That's
Joker.
me. That's
Yeah.
me guessing. Like I'm hoping, I'm dreaming of it, but it's not gonna happen.
If
Need
they
it,
get
though.
past Boston, I mean, shit, all bets are off. Because I do think, as unstoppable as Joker is, if there's any lineup out there that can do it, it's Jared Allen, it's Evan Mobley, and it's having, of course, Donovan Mitchell and
Yeah.
Garland.
It's a good
offensive
matchup.
end.
You know,
You
they-
are right, but if they can guard Shea and J-Dub, I believe that the Nuggets can also guard Donovan.
I think they,
Darius.
but I think
Shea's a
Denver.
top 5
I
player
think
in the league.
SGA can destroy them, and OKC still loses.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think SGA can come to play, and they still like we've seen the Lakers own the time of possession against the Denver Nuggets in the series, and the Denver Nuggets was like, all right, that's cool. 6 minutes in the fourth, all right, let's play series. And then
So
boom,
you got the Cavs, but if the Nuggets play the Celtics, who would you go with?
Nuggets.
Okay.
I still would go with the Nuggets, but
They
it's
don't have
tougher.
an
I'll say
answer
that.
for the Joker. They really don't.
I
Now
worry about the Nuggets more than the Cavs.
flipping it
should.
over,
Yeah, I would.
OKC, if they play the Cavs, who wins that series?
I think OKC wins that
I
one.
go with OKC.
I think the Cavs.
OKC and Boston, who wins that series?
Boston.
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 Boston beats everybody. My book.
I think
No, Boston gives OKC bad fits
in
in the
that
finals.
theoretical Thunder Cavs matchup, you know who the biggest X factor is? Because he hasn't performed yet in the postseason. It's my
Darius
favorite
Garland.
player. It's Garland.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if he plays at that same
That's a
level as
tough
giving you
matchup
right
for him.
now, if he maintains this level of play in a Thunder series, the Cavs
Garland
win
needs to
again.
do that against the Celtics.
I agree. But I like for OKC, if they get to the finals, that mean they didn't have played Kyrie, probably stopped him. They didn't play Jamal, probably stopped him. They didn't play Ja, stopped him. If they do that going to the finals and they play the Cavs, I'm scared for Garland, truly, because that means you didn't stop high end guards already. Like that's gonna be like damn, and they have the defenders to guard Darius Garland. Like this isn't like they don't have the personnel. They have the personnel to guard both, but D-Mitch you obviously trust more.
Because I trust Mobley a lot to raise his level of play. I believe it's an experience and toughness thing where
Chet's
he
a
was
tough
so
matchup for
young.
him.